Hi, and welcome to the Future of Dermatology podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Faranak Kamangar, board certified dermatologist. We are here to talk about anything and everything dermatology related. You'll hear from me and my guests who are dermatologists, physicians, experts, scientists, residents, and medical students in the field of dermatology. We publish weekly, so if you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button and show us some love, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, we're back, and we've been waiting for this day, I think for maybe a year and a half, 2 years. It feels like a really long time, but today is the day. Match day has happened. We have Payton Smith, Chandler Johnson, Kathryn Haran. Guys, welcome back. Woo!
Yay!
Thank you.
I feel like it was such a long time ago when you guys started your research fellowships at UCSF, and we chatted about we are going to document your journey of going through the dermatology application process, which, as Payton is going to tell us in a second, is really hard. But I think you actually have some numbers of how hard it is. And you guys went through it so successfully, so elegantly. And we knew you were going to succeed. Like, we just knew that because it's the three of you and you're amazing. But the moment has come. Match occurred. All three of you matched in amazing programs. So I'm going to stop talking because people want to hear from you guys. Who should we start with first? Tell us everything. Where did you match? How did it go? All the things. Chandler, should I put you on the spot?
Sure.
Let's do it.
So, first of all, so happy to be back. So happy to have made it through match in this really daunting process that is applying to dermatology. So I'm super excited to tell you all that I matched at the University of South Florida in Tampa, which is amazing, great program, and also so close to all of my friends and family here on the East Coast. So super excited for my next steps. I'm going to become a dermatologist, which is so surreal to say, but it's great to be back on the podcast to open up the playbook on how we match successfully and give any applicants tips that may be helpful.
Amazing, Chandler. Katie, should we put you on the spot next?
Yeah, I'll also say it's great to be back. Super glad to be on the podcast again. I matched at Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, Ohio. And then for kind of an extra cherry on top, I was able to match to the same program that my husband matched to. So we couples matched. So we'll be moving to Cleveland together. So really, really excited about that. Great program, great people, very excited for it and excited to talk about it today.
Amazing. Last but not least, Payton, where are you going to end up next year? Or in 2 years, I should say, because there's the internship year.
Hey, thank you so much for letting us be back on the podcast. So I matched at SUNY Downstate in Brooklyn, and I'm so excited. I did a 4-week away rotation there, just fell in love with the program, and the people were incredible. So I'm thrilled to be going back there. And then also I do have those stats if you want me to
Yes.
Kind of. This is from Florida Derm Advocacy Day. About the 2025 dermatology match. So for MD seniors, there were 676 total applicants and 424 match. That's a 62.7% match rate. And then DO seniors, 105 applicants and 36 matched, which is a 34.3%. And then for US IMGs, there were 18 applicants, 2 of which matched, which is 11.1%, and non-US IMGs were 26 applicants, and 10 of those matched at 38.5%. So total, there were 993 people who applied to dermatology this year, and 523 of those people matched, which is a 52.7% match rate. So, staggering numbers and very humbling, but I really liked how the end of the post was just saying to extend a lot of gratitude for the people who did match, but also extending warmth and kindness to those who didn't, and encouragement to say it's okay to feel what you're feeling, but then use those feelings to march into a new chapter of your life and to reapply, because it can be done. We've seen so many amazing applicants, try again and match the second or even third time. And so I hope that that's a huge encouraging fact for people who didn't match this year.
Thank you, Payton. That's beautiful, because we've had a couple of episodes with some of our attendees we look up to so much, and they shared their story. If they didn't match the first time, some not even the second time. So if you like the field of dermatology, which we're biased, we think you should, and you just stay with it. It'll happen. But it's crazy that I think, are we still the toughest? It used to be, I think we were the hardest out of all the medical subspecialties to get into. And it sounds like we are again, because it's basically like the people that don't get in, they're excellent. And that's the thing that is hard to grasp. So sometimes like, okay, there's this many spots and the best people got it. But the crazy thing is everyone at this stage is like incredible. So it's just kind of crazy, the level of competition as you go through from undergrad to medical school. That's one level of competition. Then you go from med school to, residency. It just gets like, the top and top of the crop. So it gets harder and harder. So we're so proud of the three of you. I mean, of course, we're going to do it. You're amazing. The programs are lucky to have you, because you're not only just extremely intelligent and hardworking, but just really nice human beings and nice people. And I don't know how it feels for the three of you to be broken up, though. How is that going to go? How are you guys feeling about that? Because you're just, when I see you, it's just the three of you. Like, I can't imagine now you're going to be parts of other groups.
I know. I saw in like some of my interviews, I was like, okay, in an ideal world, I'm going to have Katie and Payton and we're all going to be co-residents. But, I'm just so happy that we're all going to reunite at conferences and we're going to have the best time. Like, of course, like having done this fellowship, we have been so bonded, like that's not about to end. So even though we won't be together physically, like, thank God for technology, we'll still be able to stay in touch.
Absolutely. And a quick plug, they'll be at the San Francisco Derm Society meeting June 6th to 8th in Napa. Just a little plug, sfderm.org. If you haven't looked at, come see our celebrity, soon to be dermatologist. I have to throw the plug. You knew I had to since you said conference.
Of course.
So yeah, what do you guys think? What was the secret sauce, the top thing? There's probably a million things. What do you have to give advice to everyone else who's listening on this path?
I can start us off, because honestly, everyone in this podcast right now is, I believe, why I matched. And so my advice is find great friends who are also applying dermatology, or great mentors who have done it before you, who can give you incredible advice and, are just there for every step of the journey. Just, a lot of people think that, the people who I'm applying with, they're my enemy or they're my competition, but they can honestly be your greatest strength. Like, if you have someone that you can turn to when you have a question, or even just like, hey, I think this project sounds really cool. Would you want to help me with this project? Or you want to help me help Dr. Kamangar organize SF Derm? There's just so many incredible opportunities that you can do with your friends and have fun along the way. And you certainly can't do it alone. So that's my biggest piece of advice.
I can go next too. I think I agree with Payton completely on my away rotations. I was with some very wonderful people who made me even more excited to go into dermatology, because working with them was just so wonderful and so amazing. I think this is like such a stereotypical piece of advice, but I feel like just being yourself is really kind of fundamentally the biggest thing that you can do. Like, be who you are, be comfortable in your own skin, like, no pun intended, but like, be comfortable in who you are. And if a place, if you're not meshing well with that place, well, maybe it's because you wouldn't be happy there for dermatology residency. And so I think just being kind of unabashedly yourself is my biggest tip.
Those are both really good tips.
Life. Yeah, so that applies to everything, Katie. Just always be yourself. You'll end up at the right place. Sorry, Chandler. Yeah.
No problem. I think another tip the secret sauce really is that connection to derm that is longitudinal, establishing that network early and leaning into the networking and relationships with people within the derm community, be it fellow applicants, away rotators, other students at your med school, and continuing to pour energy into those activities and meaningful experiences throughout your whole med school years, or even research year too. And then going forward, you'll have a lot of experiences that are derm related to draw upon that are really relevant to a lot of the questions that you may be asked during your derm interviews and even your intern year interviews. But starting early, if you can, if you already know that you have an interest in derm, and then continuing to work forward, because it does pay off. And every single experience is making you a stronger applicant, making you a stronger future clinician.
That's such a great point, Chandler, because a lot of times I remember when I was applying and doing my research fellowship a long time ago, you think of it as like, well, I have to do this thing to get to the next step. But really now looking back, that's what made me the kind of dermatologist I am today and the kind of physician I am today. And that really just indoctrinated me into like the group that I've mentioned. I mean, even earlier today, I texted Tina Butani, I texted Dr. John Koo, just it ends up that you can't, you guys can't get away from us is what I'm trying to say. This becomes your family and just the way you end up practicing. So it's so much more than just, this project I have to do to apply for this application. It kind of develops just who you end up becoming. So it's incredible. And so what would you not do? That was your main advice. What's your main, I learned this lesson, don't repeat this, don't do this, if you have any. And of course you could give no, everything was perfect all along, but there's always lessons learned. So, and it could be, you saw someone else doing it and you were like, cringe, don't do this.
I think I can go first. I think that something that everyone talks about in fourth year are away rotations. But I don't think a lot of people fully, or audition rotations, talk about how exhausting they can be. It's kind of a whole different type of rotation. And I think that's something, like, looking back in retrospect now, that I didn't do particularly well was like maintain my own like physical and mental health during away rotations. I felt like I really kind of put, which I want everyone to do, like put your all into everything that you're doing, but also remember that you're a human being who needs to take care of themselves. It's hard, like going to a gym when you don't have a gym membership and you're only there in that city for a month. It's hard, continuing to talk to people maybe who are outside of medicine and don't really understand like what the concept of a away or audition rotation is. So I feel like I kind of self-isolated a lot on my audition rotations. So that just something that I didn't do particularly well that I'd want like future applicants to be more cognizant of.
Another thing that comes to mind for me, for what not to do, is don't not prepare for interviews. In other words, please do practice for your interviews of people that you trust to give you like authentic, honest feedback, because you may, be practicing with people and they're like, oh, no, you sound good. Like, you're amazing. Application's great. Answers are great. And then you could maybe not be answering questions as well as you could. So making sure that you're seeking out those resources. If your school offers mock interviews, if your mentors will do mock interviews with you, I think it's really, really crucial to prepare yourself and at least think through those scenarios that you may be able to draw upon for a lot of the behavioral questions you're generally asked during both derm interviews and, in my experience, also intern year interviews. So I think it's great to really look up as many questions that you can find online and also practice them real time. And if you don't have someone to practice with you, record yourself with your whole setup and then play it back and see if you have some weird mannerisms or, just your situations that you're drawing upon for your answers are not the best ones. Like, really do take the time to hone those interview skills, because as you mentioned, Dr. Fair, like, everyone is so amazing who's applying. It could just be a little thing like that, like making yourself more polished for interviews, that really sets you apart.
Yeah, and kind of playing off of what Chandler said, I think a lot of people can fall into the trap of either maybe being too arrogant about their application, but also the other side of that is not having enough confidence. So I think either side, it can be dangerous. You definitely don't want to go into it thinking like, oh, I have the best stats. I don't really need to practice my interviews, or I don't need to, do aways, or, aways I do think are great to do. So you should try to do aways. It's not the end of the world if you can, but you just want to make sure that you have humility even when you're interacting with other med students or residents, because people can tell if you don't have that, and it's not a good look for sure. So then the other aspect of that is you want to make sure that you have confidence in your application, and it kind of goes back to being yourself, but also loving yourself and saying like, this is my application. This is what I'm passionate about. This is who I am. I am confident in that. I love myself. I love my application. If nobody likes my application, then that's their loss. And I'm going to stay true to myself. So I think either side is, kind of dangerous. You want to remember how competitive it is. You don't want to be too arrogant, but also you gotta know yourself and be confident in that.
That's wonderful advice. Kate and Perry, Payton, you mentioned the away rotations. That is like a whole beast in itself, right? Katie, you nailed it with it's like an interview, but for a month. Like if you just think about that in any other industry, you might have a half an hour interview, 2-hour interview, but imagine doing that for a whole, like, how many clinic days? Many, right? It's hard. That is the marathon of interviews, because you can't let up for 1 minute. Because like how many times in clinic we're just sitting there as a med student or resident, you're doing your work, but you just, take a sip of your coffee, look at your phone, whatever, just to relax doing your work. But you can't be like that, right? The entire month is like, who's looking at me? What's going on? Where should I be? So you kind of forget how exhausting that is. So you bring up such a good point, Katie, of just doing normal stuff, so you don't go crazy doing that. And then Payton, you brought up the point too of just they're good to do, which they really are. And I have seen it be a positive thing for most students, but some actually it's a negative thing. So I would say, know yourself and your strengths. Some do horribly on an away rotation. They might have been better off just having their resume speak for themselves. That's rare. That's very, very rare. Like Payton said, it's usually, if you're cool and normal, it's a good thing to do. So go for it. But every once in a while, I remember back in the day, be like, that person had a great resume, but I was surprised at, how they were on the rotation. So a person like that may have been better off. So these are the specifics of kind of learning. And like Chandler mentioned, interview practice. It's still crazy to me that many of your interviews are online. That's so different than when we did it, because I feel like there's so much you get from someone's body language and what's going to be their bedside manner. And so it's all you get is this, right? It's like right now, like if someone's listening to this, I'm just kind of making my little screen thing with my hands. All you're getting is like head and a little bit of your upper body, shoulders in the interview. It doesn't give you a lot to work with. It kind of changes how we used to interview, where you're like, how am I going to shake their hand? How am I going to walk in? Like you had all these other cues to help you. But Chandler, you speak on a good point, actually. Like you have to perfect your on-screen game. It's probably really great advice to like record yourself and watch, how you sound, and microphones. Did you guys get like the special equipment for your interviews? Did you have like a microphone, a halo light?
Ring light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys have microphones? Is that a thing?
No.
I did not.
I mean, not to make people have to up their technical game, but I'm just wondering what else is everyone doing, because you do want to come across well.
My recommendation, and at least I feel like this worked well for me. It may not have, but what I enjoyed doing was somehow it's wandered off, but I have a book that Chandler gave me, Why We Sleep. And I would put it, I guess I'll just use my Wicked book instead. But I literally would put it right here.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. The backdrop.
Yeah. So a lot of our research was in sleep. And so I was like, I can get them to ask me about sleep or the book. And I would talk a little bit about the book. And I'd say like, oh, the reason I put that there was, so, one of my interests is sleep and the intersection with skin health. And so that's,
oh my gosh. The Wicked book
But
fell
make-
down.
make
If
sure
you're
it's
listening to
smaller.
this, the Wicked is down. Wicked is down. No, it was the candle. So you bring up a really good point. The entire backdrop. I mean, these are things we didn't have to think about when we interviewed. It's you have to also be an interior designer as well, because you're giving a whole vibe when they pop on screen.
It's so true. Like in some of my interviews when I was at home, because I was kind of on the go at other rotations, even during interview season. But when I was home, I would have this photo or this tapestry in the background when I got it when I was in India. So it like opened the door for me to talk about like travel and my interest in global health. So I think it really is nice to have an aesthetic background that can be a conversation starter, and it's also kind of memorable. But that being said, always have like someone vet your background too. Just making sure it's not too busy and you're still kind of like the focal point.
These are great points. And do you find a lot of interviewers did ask, like if you had an item behind you, did they ask about
Definitely.
that? And do you feel like that helped? Or were those people for the program you matched with or not matched with? Did it help or was it a distraction?
I liked it, but I
It's a
do
good thing.
see the alternate side of like if you just want a plain background, it allows you to be the focus. I think that's totally fine. I just like to my house is very busy, and so I was like, I don't have a blank wall in my house first of all.
Yeah,
So
and like what Katie said, you would just be yourself. Like if that's the background that feels like you, that's like the right approach. And I'm curious, you guys probably did so much research, and you probably had a giant list of projects, presentations, publications. Were there any that stood out, you think, regularly? Because you sometimes wonder as you're a med student or going through residency, what projects to focus on most? Like, what do you think is grabbing people's attentions the most? If someone's trying to choose between 3 projects, were there any trends you saw where like consistently you're being asked about one thing or another? Or was it pretty much kind of all even, like all your publications? And
as Katie would say, like, you got to be ready for everything. Anything can be asked about on your application. Some things that even aren't on your application. So, you gotta have it all ready to talk about.
That's a good point, because sometimes when you're working, especially with like the 3 of you, we were a similar setup where there were multiple med students. I might have been like, I don't know, the author 5 on one of my colleagues' papers, but like I might not have remembered exactly what you need to read every paper and know every detail, even if it wasn't necessarily yours, but your name somehow ended up on there. That's a really good point.
True.
So just know everything.
Yeah. And I feel like in my experience in a lot of my interviews, they kind of like let it be your own adventure where they would ask you to tell them what you were passionate about in terms of your research, especially if you've been involved in a lot of different projects like we have. And I know a lot of other applicants have been as well. So I got to talk about one of the main projects that I had led when I was doing my research fellowship, which was Skin Tracker, which everyone was really interested in. And then again, I got asked about some of the more niche papers, just because if the interviewer had a special interest, we could connect over that. So I found that some researchers would intentionally like find ways that we could have a more in-depth conversation over something that we could connect over, which was sometimes their research interest. That was also my research interest.
And I agree with all of that. I also think that like within your ERAS application, you are able to select like your 3 most important kind of experiences. And so if there was like a particular like project that I had really enjoyed or felt like it kind of combined various skills that I wanted to highlight, or honestly, like truly, I just ended up picking the things that I was most passionate about, because whatever you can talk most passionately about is the thing that should be listed there, because it should be your most valuable experience. So I think that that's a really good place for you to kind of highlight a specific project. But like Payton and Chandler both said, they kind of could ask about anything. So you always had to be prepared for anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so important actually just to be passionate, because it's true. It's probably when you talk to another person, it's not necessarily what they're talking about, but what comes through is like the way they're talking about it and their passion. So that's really key.
I want to hear more about couples matching from Katie, because I know nothing about that. So I feel like Katie's our expert in couples matching.
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about it. I think it's like the same thing as regular matching, except that there's like a whole nother person that you kind of feel responsible for. And so I think that like personally, that was something that I really struggled with in couples matching, was that because I knew I was applying to such a competitive specialty, I didn't want to feel like I was bringing my partner down. Because of limitations that I was, hitting because of the competitiveness of my specialty, or if like he got an interview somewhere and I didn't, then I would feel kind of guilty about that. So I think that that was just something that like I kind of struggled with as I couples matched. Besides that, the process is very similar. We kind of picked the same programs that we wanted to apply to, submitted our applications, and then the biggest difference was making our rank list. Making the rank list was pretty challenging because it's not just for yourself, it's also for someone else. So there was a pretty solid month long of discussions about kind of which program would fit his needs, which program would fit my needs, and then which program would fit our needs, including city and living and ending up together. And then having a prelim or TY year associated with dermatology just really complicates the rank list making process. And so I would definitely leave lots of time to think about making your rank list with your partner if you are couples matching, and then just being strategic with where you apply. I also think have like if someone gets an interview, if one person gets an interview somewhere and you don't, ask them to reach out to their program and say, hey, like my partner didn't get an interview here. Would it be possible? And have your partner reach out to that same program as well. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I think that you really you got to try your best and put yourself out there. So that was kind of my whole couples match experience.
Honestly, that advice just in general, like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. The same thing goes for cold emailing, trying to, find research projects, trying to find mentors. Like the person that reaches out to people is the person who is going to have a better application. And that's just the truth, because, if you're shy and like, oh, I don't want to, I don't want to email people, or I don't want to go up and talk to that person, then you're not going to have those people in your camp. And so just be bold. It will be over quickly. So just go, it's like, send the email, go talk to the person, and it'll be worth it.
That's true. I do feel like being bold is something that's really important for this process. I think it's really an introvert's nightmare. The whole process of applying to Derm, doing the interviews, like you really got to lean into showcasing yourself, which can be hard because I consider myself an introvert, but this is the one time in your life you really got to step outside of your comfort zone and be bold and talk to all the people.
I love that. Just dermatology, match cycle, an introvert's nightmare. Like that could be a book in itself, because you're totally right. Because we have had different talks with different speakers, and I'm like thinking of the people who have shared their journey of applying a couple of times or 3 times. They're brilliant, but I think they do tend to be more introverts. Maybe that's the key to, because you have this whole group of people with amazing basically skill sets, and the IQ obviously is there. EQ is probably also there, but it's just this difference of this, like also your like AQ, your adaptability quotient. Like how can you adapt to this scenario, put yourself out there? That might be the differentiator between kind of what makes or doesn't make it. And then probably the introverts just get so angry over the first match cycle, the second match cycle, that they become an extrovert by the third time. Like, just take me already. Here's my application.
I feel like, maybe you're shy at first and it's really hard the first time that you go up to someone at a conference or go up to a program director to like ask for a letter of recommendation or like something like that. But it gets easier the more you do it. And so just bite the bullet and it's all downhill from there.
That's all really amazing knowledge and sharing. You guys know I'm going to ask you about the future of Derm, but before that, any other last bits? I know, Payton, you had a really cool like whole PDF guide on resources, or any resources, any other major advice?
I can talk really quick. So I was gifted a guide for dermatology applicants by one of my mentors, Jennifer Fernandez. And it's just like comprehensive is not even the right word. It's just this huge Google Doc that she wrote with the help of several derm attendings all over the country. Dan Butler being one of them, who has done the same psoriasis fellowship that we have, and so just some big names on this list, and it's an incredible guide. And so we'll drop the link for this and make sure you read it from start to finish.
Yeah, it's great. So great to have these resources. Dan Butler will also be at the SF Derm conference.
Yes.
Another plug
to come to SF Derm in Napa. Wine.
And yeah, and for the wine too. You guys deserve a glass of wine. This process is hard. And so you guys know we always end it with what you're excited about for the future of dermatology, but this is especially pertinent here because you three are the future of dermatology. I'm just so excited for you guys to be out in 3 to 4 years so we can recruit the three of you so hard to come back and work with us. You all have to move back to the West Coast. I mean, just to start putting that seed in the back of your mind that's happening. But what are you guys excited about? What are you excited about for the future of derm and your next steps?
I can go first. So I am just so excited for my residency at SUNY Downstate. Like I said before, I spent 4 weeks there, and the program was amazing. Everyone was so kind. They call it the happy program of all the New York schools. I won't speak for the other New York schools. I don't know anything about them, but I know everyone there is happy, and I'm excited to learn dermatology. I think that it's an incredible program. So this is a plug to do an away or apply for an away at SUNY Downstate because it's an awesome program.
I think I can go next. Very similar to Payton. I'm just excited to learn and feel like a valuable member of a team. I've always felt like in San Francisco, with SF Derm, I've always felt like an integral part of a team and like a valued team member. And you guys have always made me feel that way. And I'm really excited to feel that way clinically as well in like helping my patients receive care.
I am super excited to become a physician, learn dermatology, and also further lean into this role as a mentor for other medical students, people going through this process, because after going through it, it can be so mentally, emotionally taxing. Like, I want to continue to be a resource for people going through this process and support them the way that I've been supported. So it's really excited to be in this position where I can continue to uplift people. So I'm really, really happy to be able to do that as a future dermatologist.
Those are amazing things. You guys are going to just love it. The derm training is incredible. You think you've kind of gotten it down, and then you start and they hand you a book about genodermatoses and you're like, oh my God, there's a whole other world. And the therapies we have coming out, I think it's the best time to be a derm resident right now. There's so much happening. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Practice models are shifting. Payton, you're going to be in New York. That is like the hub of the fun skincare side. I was just at an event a couple of weeks ago. We were doing a product launch at one of the Ulta Beauty stores. And I was talking to the dermatologist. I'm like, do you guys do this stuff all the time? They're like, yeah, every skincare brand, if they launch anything, it's here. It's in New York. I'm like, we get nothing in the West Coast. We don't have any of this stuff. Like, it's so you're going to be in the hub of it. You're going to be like the mecca of the really fun side of derm, which is that kind of patient facing cosmetic side. A lot of it is, of course, going to be really deep down mechanism learning and names and genodermatoses. The boards is not hard. Let me tell you that, because that's the next step. You're going to start and everyone's like, the boards, you'll be fine. This is the hard part. You guys just did the hard part. So everything from now on is going to be just all the fun, enjoyable stages.
I do have one question though. So a lot of residents that I interviewed with said that if med school is like drinking from a fire hose, dermatology residency is like drinking from Niagara Falls. This is quotes from them. So would you say that's true? There's a lot of studying in dermatology.
I would say I mean, you're set now, right? So you don't have that stress and that, what's going to happen in life. I think what they're specifically talking about is that genodermatosis book I just mentioned.
Oh,
It is like, what are you guys talking about? It's all these disorders, all the G's, all the things. And then you learn it for the boards and then you forget it, when you practice. And then every once in a while you see some. But the good thing about the dermatologist of training is you learn on so many esoteric information. So when it steps in your office, you don't miss it. You're like, I don't know exactly what that is, but I did at one point. And then you go get that book out and you're like, there it is. That's what it is. And that's something we see, often in our clinics when patients are coming from non-dermatologists. There's been so many signs on their skin that were missed. So what you're going to learn is sometimes some people say it's like the primary care doctor of the skin. You're going to know what's going on inside everyone's body by just looking at their skin. And I can't say that for any other field. Like the other day, I had a patient that had a few papules on the back of the neck, and I was like, that looks funny. We biopsied it, end up, being potentially related to something cardiac. She got a cardiac workup, and she was probably going to drop dead any day. She said she had really clogged arteries. So you're going to just learn when you look at someone, but then on the other hand, you can't unsee it. So you're going to walk around, you're going to be seeing stuff and be like, you got this, you've got that. So it's true. And it is a different level. And I just think we have cool devices and everything, but I think we're one of the kind of old school fields still where we are heavily relying on physical exam and looking at people and touching their skin and being able to tell a lot about them and what's going on in their life from it. So I'll stop talking about dermatology, but it's so great. It's so great. I kind of want to go back to residency. I feel like I'd go back now with a different view, because while I was in it, it was just like survival. What tasks do you have? The boards. And when you're out of it, you're kind of like, you'd almost rather go through one more time, but just a different mindset of kind of enjoying the whole learning process. So you guys are going to embark on such a fun journey. You can never leave SF Derm. We probably made you sign somewhere. I'll find the paperwork. It's binding. It's binding for life. And then we have to keep doing episodes when you start residency too, because there's going to be so many pearls there for everyone.
For sure. You can't get rid of us either.
Yeah, we're sticking around.
Well, thank you guys so much. This has been such an amazing journey to take. Thank you for letting us take it with you too. We get to relive the fun years.
Of course. Thank you, Dr. Kamangar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Future of Dermatology podcast. Remember to hit that subscribe button and share the podcast with your friends. The more you share and subscribe, the more we'll be able to grow and share our dermatology knowledge. If you have burning dermatology questions, feel free to leave them in the comment below, and we would love to address them in a future episode. And please note that this podcast is not intended to substitute for medical advice